Hi everyone, today I'm going to follow up on the previous video I did where I talked about the importance of writing in your fingering. I mentioned that there are just 10,000 different possible fingering tips that can apply, and many of these will be personal, but I think there are some overriding larger concepts that will be universal no matter where you are technically and your hand size and all these other things too. So I looked at this, I want to look at this Chopin Nocturne Opus 9 number 2 in E flat. I've seen students have this particular problem that represents the fingering concept we're going to talk about. The excerpt is this. And the left hands particularly is a little bit awkward. This is a nocturne that is probably going to be taught in sequence of the nocturnes as maybe the third or fourth nocturne someone would play. In general, I don't like to assign this as the first nocturne for a younger student because I think it's actually slightly too hard. But the left hand, here's the problem. I've seen students and they want to play the left hand, which is actually this, and their inclination sometimes is to play thumb in the E flat here and then thumb on the G here. And to make a strong memory to that student, sometimes I will remind them that if their hand position involves a change that is thumb thumb, I say, I think thumb thumb rhymes with dumb, dumb. Now, I'm not saying that they're dumb, but I'm saying that that finger itself is not intelligent because there's an easier way to do it and it's going to create problems. The problem that that fingering is going to create is this. Anytime I have to move my hand position, I have a higher risk of missing notes and I have a higher risk of having the sound not be what I want because it might be a little bit bumpy. Because the left hand in this piece moves a lot, if I have to play one hand position here, and then one hand position here, and then another hand position here, and this goes on actually for the entire piece of about 34 measures, if I have a different hand position for, that would be 12 times per measure, well, you can see percentage-wise, with that kind of ratio, 12 times 34 is whatever, it's a lot. I've got hundreds of hand position changes, and if I have a better fingering, that means I can eliminate also at least a third of those hand position changes. So we're talking about a huge amount of efficiency here. So instead of doing thumb to thumb, what I actually do is the finger that happens to be here, which I think is excellent fingering, is that I play 2 on E flat and then thumb on G natural. And by doing that, I can cover the end of the hand position as I start the beginning of the hand position. So I've got them well blocked out that way, as opposed to doing thumb to thumb. The other thing about this is that when I play the bottom note of the upper chord, which is the second beat here, here, and here, when I play the bottom chord, I'm not only just preparing this, but I'm also preparing the other chord. So here's how I would practice this. Once I have my fingering written in, and once I am thinking in a little bit smarter way to practice. So I'm not just playing from here to here. What I would do is I would do a little bit of that, and then I would spend a little time practicing just the block, and the block, and the block. So I'm not playing everything. I'm sorry, I'm playing everything, but I'm not playing it linearly. I'm playing it all in one grouping for whatever my hand covers. The leaps here relate very much into some of the videos I've been talking about lately in terms of how to successfully navigate leaps at the keyboard, and we've talked about this grabbing motion. So this combines a lot of those things. So bottom line, if you have hand position changes, what you want to do is create as many notes under one hand position as possible so that you can minimize those hand position changes, and avoid doing positions that go from thumb to thumb to thumb to thumb. Sometimes you don't have an option, but in this particular case you absolutely have an option, and I found myself making the same mistake when I was a kid, is that I'm just trying to get to here. I hadn't thought about the next position change and thinking of it in one larger group. It's a little bit like running errands. If I go from here to here to here, it's a little bit like I go to the bank, I go home, then I go to the grocery store, then I go home. But in here, I can do the bank and the grocery store in one trip, so to speak.